Well, I don't want to talk about Man United playing well on a Liverpool game, or I won't be popular, but I do want to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo with you all, who is going to have a quiet weekend. He's not in the Man United squad after refusing to come on as a sub, Rio, and leaving the ground early in that win over Tottenham. How would you have dealt with that if you were in the squad?
I wouldn't have been happy as a player. I think in Ronaldo's statement he mentioned that he probably would have handled things differently. But any emotions attached to it, sometimes it takes it out of your control as a human. Yeah, I would definitely have approached him. I probably would have been in the queue of people wanting to speak to him about that decision he made and why he done it, etc., and ask the question. But I think there's two ways to look at it, and I don't condone it for one moment, but there's always another side to the story in this, and I think maybe communication hasn't been as clear as maybe he would have wanted. I think, listen, people say, oh, but you're a player in a team, but when you're dealing with someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, like it or not, he's Cristiano Ronaldo, probably the greatest footballer that's ever played football, along with Messi. So sometimes they're afforded a way of treatment that's sometimes a little bit different to everybody else. It was the same under Fergie, when he was there under Fergie. I think all the way through his career he's probably had that communication, how your minutes are going to look, how the games are going to look, and I think he's at the first point in his life where that's not probably being upheld from the manager or the club, and he's in a position where, well, I don't know where I'm at.
But
5
you
minutes.
always talk about the importance of the team, so why should he be treated differently?
And I like I said, I'm not saying that he was right in that decision. His statement after says that as well. But at the same time, you can always say for every other players, it's always, okay, you're one of the team, but there are special players sometimes in a squad that things do work differently for. And also, by the way, not only is he an iconic player that done all the stuff that he's done, I think it's important for the team to have that as well, to see that he's communicated with, so that he is fresh in his mind and he's ready and able to play. He's 37 years old. He probably needs that now more than ever, so his body and his mind's right to be able to perform to the best of his ability for Man United to get the best out of him.
What do you think of the way Ten Hag has dealt with it, Rachel?
I don't think he's dealt with it really well, because I think it could have been prevented along the lines of what Rio's saying. A manager's there, obviously, to prepare the team for match day, but he's there to manage personalities as well. And if he couldn't foresee, Ronaldo being unhappy with not being on the bench, with not knowing where he's about, not knowing really his status within the squad, when that's something that's alien to him, then I think that's something Ten Hag will learn from, and hopefully the communication that's been forced upon it because of this issue at the weekend will resolve that.
But does he not need to retain that ability to be able to change his mind and make those decisions in game without having to run it by a player? Maybe he wanted to give him more minutes, but it was going so well he decided he wanted to do something differently.
It's the manager's prerogative who he plays and who he doesn't. It's not the player's prerogative. No player can sit on the side and say, I'm not coming on. I don't care who you are. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the best players we've ever seen play the game, but you're a player. At the end of the day, you have to have a manager and you have a board in place who makes decisions about who plays on the field. You, as a player, you cannot take that decision to not come on and then walk off as the match is going on. Ten Hag and the board have a situation now where they have to make a strong decision, because it sets the precedent. Then you don't want other players and how is he getting away with that? And I know he's Cristiano Ronaldo, but then also on the flip side of that, it must be incredibly difficult for him to be sitting there being the player that every manager has always turned to get goals, to win matches, and to sit there and not be a part of it. And I think, he would have looked at it and he would have said, I've been wrong. I've been 100% I was wrong what I did. But to look from his point of view, it must be incredibly difficult to sit there and watch.
I agree with what you're saying, Crouchy, and I think he would say the same thing. Yeah. He would say, listen, I probably would have handled it differently if it happened again. But I think when you look at him and you go, do you know what? I'm preparing myself to play games. I need to get myself right. Communicate that to me, so I can prepare the week to be ready for the weekend. Throw me 5 minutes here and 2 minutes there. It was disrespectful against Man City to bring me on for a few minutes in that game. So why is it now not disrespectful to do it here? What signals is that sending to me? And I think prevention in all of these situations is always the key case. Foresee this happening before it happens and communicate to the player, because you know that he's a player who expects to play, expects to score goals, expects to be relied upon. No one's saying he's right in this situation, what he's done, but with the way it's panned out, you can see how a player can react. Not just Cristiano Ronaldo, but a player could react in this situation.
some people have said that you'll always come out and defend Ronaldo. What would you say to that? And in this case, is this just indefensible?
Oh, he's my mate. Of course, you want to see your friends do well, but at the same time, I wouldn't condone that in the changing room if I was there. I would be onto him and say, "What are you doing?" And you'd have that conversation, argument, or whatever it is. But at the same, there's always two sides to a story. And like I said, I'm going to reiterate the point again. If you're not communicated to proper, if communication lessons aren't there, problems arise. And I think in this situation, that's been the case.